couple updates here for some milestones reached. At 8:42 a.m., we went into core stage liquid oxygen slow fill. Again, core stage liquid oxygen slow fill has now begun. So the chilling of the transfer line is complete. We are now in slow fill for liquid oxygen. And on the liquid hydrogen side, we just got the go to proceed with propellant load for liquid hydrogen. Just got the go to proceed with the loading of liquid hydrogen propellant into the core stage. So again, liquid oxygen now in slow fill. Liquid hydrogen has the go to proceed. They are now going to begin chilling down the transfer lines. This is Artemis Launch Control. just about 10 minutes before 9 a.m. Eastern Time here at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. You're looking at a live picture of Launch Complex 39B, where the Space Launch System is on the pad, and currently cryogenic loading operation demonstration test is underway. We are flowing liquid oxygen into the rocket at this moment. And we are currently chilling down the other side of the propellant, the liquid hydrogen, chilling down the lines that lead from the cryosphere to the mobile launch pad. So far, procedure is going very well. The cryogenic loading operation in sync. And we currently stand at roughly 5% full on the liquid oxygen side. Again, we're just about 5% full. It's a 196,000 gallon tank, but the liquid oxygen is very dense, so it takes some time to fill that. We're going to be in slow fill for just about 15 minutes, and then we're going to transfer to fast fill, and that's roughly 3 hours, a long pole in the tent, so to speak. Want to also make you aware of a programming note. You can see on your screen there, we're tracking the capacity of the liquid oxygen tank, and you can see there, minus 295 degrees Fahrenheit, super chilled liquid oxygen. This is the oxidizer that, when combined with the liquid hydrogen, creates the thrust upon ignition to lift that rocket, help lift that rocket off the ground. Today is a test, and a test only. You can see it's 5% full. I want to get back to the programming note I mentioned. We have a busy day here at NASA. Coming up at 8:55 a.m. Eastern Time in just a few minutes. Those of you watching this cryo demo test on NASA TV's public channel, you will be switched over to Johnson Space Center's launch coverage of the Soyuz rocket and spacecraft, carrying a new crew to the International Space Station. Here at Kennedy, we will continue coverage of the cryo demo on NASA's official media channel. You can see there at the bottom of your screen, that is the link. That is where you'll find the tanking test if you're not on it already. If you are, again, on the NASA public channel, we'll be switching to coverage from our friends at Johnson Space Center for the Soyuz launch. After the completion of the Soyuz launch coverage, tanking coverage will resume to NASA TV's public channel. Again, that's set to begin here in just a few seconds. This is Artemis Launch Control.
You are looking live at Launch Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan, where a Soyuz 2.1A booster stands fully fueled, ready for launch to send an American astronaut and 2 Roscosmos cosmonauts into orbit on a fast-track 2-orbit journey to reach the International Space Station that will be their home for the next 6 months. Good morning from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room as countdown clocks are ticking backward for the launch of the Soyuz MS-22 spacecraft atop its Soyuz booster at 8:54 and 49 seconds a.m. Central Time, 6:54 and 49 seconds p.m. in Baikonur, about 7 minutes after sunset in the Central Asian desert. The weather in Baikonur is ideal, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, cloudless sky for today's launch. Earlier today, the Soyuz booster was fueled for launch by engineers in Baikonur, a process that was completed a few hours ago. The launch control team in Baikonur reporting that all systems are go for launch, working no issues as the countdown enters its final phase. Here in Mission Control, the team is watching over the Expedition 67 crew and station systems on the International Space Station. The Orbit 2 team having just completed a shift handover from the overnight Orbit 1 team, preparing to support the arrival of Soyuz MS-22 later today. The station population will increase temporarily from 7 to 10 with the addition of NASA astronaut Frank Rubio and his Roscosmos crewmates, Soyuz Commander Sergei Prokopyev and Dmitry Petelin. The crew is all set to begin its 3-hour flight to the International Space Station, docking scheduled at 12:11 p.m. Central Time to the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. Once the hatches are opened between the newly arrived Soyuz and the station, the new residents will be greeted by Station Commander Oleg Artemiev of Roscosmos and his Roscosmos crewmates, Denis Matveyev and Sergei Korsakov, along with NASA astronauts Kjell Lindgren, Bob Hines, and Jessica Watkins, and European Space Agency astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti. She will take over as Expedition 68 commander during a change of command ceremony next week before Artemiev, Matveyev, and Korsakov depart in their Soyuz MS-21 spacecraft, headed for a parachute-assisted landing on September 29th on the steppe of Kazakhstan. Frank Rubio today becomes the first American to launch on a Soyuz spacecraft since Mark Vande Heyde did so in March of 2021. Rubio is flying on the Soyuz MS-22 vehicle, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Anna Kikina is flying to the station as part of the SpaceX Crew Dragon Crew 5 crew that includes NASA astronauts Nicole Mann and Josh Cassada and Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency astronaut Koichi Wakata, this ensuring a reciprocal method of maintaining maximum launch and landing capability for safe space station operations. The Crew 5 crew is in quarantine now, preparing for their launch to the station early next month. Here in Mission Control, as mentioned, a shift handover just completed. At the bottom of your screen is Flight Director Allison Bollinger. She will be the flight director on console throughout the day today for launch, docking, and the subsequent hatch opening later this afternoon. That will enable Rubio, Prokopiev, and Patelin to take residence on board the International Outpost. At the top of your screen, veteran astronaut Jessica Meir. She'll be talking to the space station crew throughout the day when required. Half a world away at the Russian Mission Control Center on the outskirts of Moscow, the Russian flight controllers are carefully watching all the data on their consoles. They will take over control of the flight of the Soyuz MS-22 to the International Space Station about 8 minutes and 45 seconds after launch. After third stage shutdown on the Soyuz booster and spacecraft separation, they will then be in control of Soyuz operations all the way through its planned automated docking to the Rosviet module. That you're hearing music that is being piped into the Soyuz spacecraft by launch controllers at the blockhouse in Baikonur, a time-honored tradition. The launch now less than 50 minutes away. We'll get a final go, no-go for launch in about 20 minutes from now. This is a live view of Soyuz MS-22 on the launch pad at Baikonur. Site 31 is the launch site for today. Liftoff again scheduled for 8:54 and 49 seconds a.m. Central Time, 6:54 and 49 seconds p.m. in Baikonur. The countdown proceeding on schedule, no issues being reported by the engineers down in Baikonur. Atop the Soyuz 2.1A booster strapped into their seats in the descent module or center section of the Soyuz spacecraft are NASA's Frank Rubio and Sergei Prokopiev and Dmitry Patelin of Roscosmos. Prokopiev, as Soyuz commander, is in the center seat of the descent module, flanked on his left by Patelin, serving as board engineer number 1, and to Prokopiev's right, NASA's Frank Rubio, serving as board engineer 2. For Rubio and Patelin, this will be their first flight into space. For Prokopiev, his second flight into space. From time to time through the interpreter that you'll be hearing regarding ascent performance calls, you'll hear the Soyuz call sign of Altai. That is a mountain range in Central and Eastern Asia. Each Soyuz commander selects a call sign for their Soyuz vehicle from launch to docking, and again from undocking through landing. Altai is Prokopiev's call sign for his Soyuz vehicle. If you're just joining us, again, you're looking live at Site 31 of the Baikonur Cosmodrome in the Central Asian Desert as we stand 48 minutes and 17 seconds away from liftoff of the 3 new residents to the International Space Station, Frank Rubio, Sergei Prokopiev, and Dmitry Patelin.
дождемся, чтоб встретиться вновь. Ведь остается навеки любовь, кружится первый осенний лист.
Again, that's music being piped into the spacecraft for the cosmonauts Prokopiev and Patelin, and for the NASA astronaut Frank Rubio to listen to, basically keeping them relaxed in the final minutes of the countdown that will lead to launch about 47 and a half minutes from now. The crew flew to the Baikonur Cosmodrome from their training base at Star City on September 5th for final pre-launch training and inspections of their Soyuz spacecraft. While that was ongoing, the Soyuz MS-22 was encapsulated into the upper stage of the Soyuz booster in the integration building. And after the three stages of the booster were mated together late last week, the Soyuz rocket, as you see in this video, began its trek to the launch pad last Sunday, hauled to the pad horizontally on a rail car in a process that took about 40 minutes to complete. Once at the pad, the Soyuz was raised hydraulically to its vertical position for final pre-launch preparations. We continue to watch countdown clocks ticking backward for the launch of the next crew to the International Space Station 46 and a half minutes from now. Out on the launch pad at Site 31 of the Baikonur Cosmodrome, the Soyuz booster is poised for launch, fully fueled with kerosene and liquid oxygen as the propellant. The Soyuz 2.1A is the ticket to ride for crews launching from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Let's take a closer look at that Soyuz booster.
The Soyuz rocket stands 162 feet tall, weighs about 640,000 pounds, and consists of the Soyuz spacecraft inside a protective shroud at the top and the three-stage Soyuz 2.1A booster below. The first stage has 4 liquid engines strapped to the side of the core vehicle. Each will burn for 1 minute and 58 seconds before they drop away. The core engine of the first stage also serves as the second stage and continues to burn until 4 minutes and 57 seconds into the flight. The third stage has a single engine that will ignite before the separation of the second stage, helping to push it away safely. It will burn until the 8 minutes and 46 seconds mark of the flight, and at that point the Soyuz spacecraft will separate from the third stage, having arrived at its preliminary orbit.
Launch Site 31 at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan is what you're looking at right now. In the Central Asian desert. Again, the weather is ideal as we are approaching sunset at the launch site. Sunset will occur at about 6:47 p.m. in Baikonur, about 7 minutes before liftoff. We'll talk a bit more about the orbital mechanics of this two-orbit rendezvous for Rubio, Prokopiev, and Patelin in just a moment. Again, atop that Soyuz 2.1A booster strapped into their seats in the descent module of the Soyuz are NASA's Frank Rubio and Sergei Prokopiev and Dmitry Patelin of Roscosmos, as the countdown is now 44 and a half minutes from launch. The Soyuz spacecraft, the MS-22, which will be headed to the International Space Station a short time from now, is comprised of 3 sections. Let's take a look at the Soyuz spacecraft that soon will be delivering Rubio, Prokopiev, and Patelin to the International Outpost.
The whole Soyuz spacecraft is 24.5 feet long with an overall volume of 177 cubic feet and comprised of 3 modules. The descent module, situated in the middle of the Soyuz vehicle, contains customized seats for the crew members during launch, entry, and landing, and contains all the controls and displays necessary for the flight. It also houses life support systems, batteries for the re-entry and landing, and the parachute and soft landing rocket engines that slow the Soyuz just before touchdown as the spacecraft lands in Kazakhstan. There are 8 hydrogen peroxide thrusters located on the module, which are used to control the spacecraft's orientation or attitude during the descent until parachute deployment. The descent module also contains a guidance, navigation, and control system used to maneuver the vehicle during the descent phase of the mission. This descent module is 7.3 feet long with a diameter of 7.1 feet and a habitable volume of 124 cubic feet, and is the only portion of the Soyuz that survives the return to Earth. The orbital module at the top is 9.8 feet long. It connects to the descent module via pressurized hatch. This is where the crew has a small amount of room to move around following launch during the flight to the space station. It has a docking mechanism, hatch, and rendezvous antennas located at the front end. The docking mechanism is used to dock with the space station, and the hatch allows entry into the orbiting complex. The rendezvous antennas are used by the automated docking system, which uses radar, to maneuver toward the station for docking. There is also a forward-looking window in the module that the crew can use to take manual measurements of distance and closing speed with a laser rangefinder in the event of failure of the rendezvous radar system. The propulsion module houses the oxygen storage tanks, the main engine, and the attitude control thrusters, avionics, and communication and control equipment. The propulsion portion of this module handles all orbital maneuvers, including those needed for the rendezvous with the space station and the deorbit burn at the end of the spacecraft's mission. Before they are deployed, the two solar arrays are folded against the body of the propulsion module, which, along with the orbital module, separates from the descent module after the deorbit burn. The solar panels span almost 35 feet. The entire spacecraft serves not only as a crew transport vehicle to and from the space station, but also as an emergency return vehicle in the unlikely event that the crew needs to leave the station unexpectedly.
And you'll be seeing a lot more of that Soyuz spacecraft a few hours from now as it approaches for a docking to the Rassvet module of the International Space Station.